Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of CATIA Design User Talk, the space where design vision meets real innovation. So during this live session, we'll explore how extended reality was used to validate the driver experience in full scale and how real-time collaboration brought ideas to life across the team. And for that, I have the pleasure to welcome on stage my two guests, Aude Massoni, our CATIA R&D Design, Creative Designs Roles Portfolio Engineering Manager, and Edouard Sutre, our CATIA R&D Design, Creative Design Role Portfolio Senior Manager. So if you're passionate about innovation, this session will show you how our solutions are transforming concept design exploration with a human-centered approach. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today for this talk. As usual, I will kindly ask you to introduce yourself. For those who don't know you, perhaps we can first with Aude.
Yes, hello everyone. So my name is Aude Massoni. I'm part of the CATIA R&D Design Portfolio team, where I work as a creative designer and expert on 3D sketching, concept modeling, and human experience topics.
Thank you, Aude. Edouard?
Yeah, hello everyone. So same as Aude, we are part of CATIA R&D organization, and our role is also to drive, the roadmaps and the strategy of our products. And I'm specialized in CATIA visual scripting and also CATIA human design. And I'm pleased to be here today and to present with Aude our project.
Thank you to both of you for this quick introduction. Before starting, as usual, I would like to remind our viewers that they can reach out to us during this talk by asking their question in the chat, and we'll take some time at the end of this talk to answer them. I will now let the floor to Aude and Edouard. Guys, you have the mic.
Thank you. So last year at CATIA R&D, we worked on a complete Formula One project in collaboration between design and engineering team. And with Edouard, we focused on the design of the cockpit of this Formula One. So we want you to discover how we imagine and create this new steering wheel using what we call the user experience-driven design approach. It's an approach where the human, so here the pilot, will be placed at the heart of the creative process. So to build this demonstration, we relied on several of our flagship application and roles from CATIA Design Portfolio. So the first one you will discover is CATIA Creative Design Experience, but also Human Design, CATIA Human Animation Studio, CATIA Visual Scripting, and Live Rendering. But of course, Creative Portfolio Board, a brand new web application. So everything you're about to see in this demonstration, from the first sketches to the immersive review and the final renderings, were created using the 3D Experience platform exclusively. So it will be one continuous and connected workflow, focusing on designing not just the product, but also imagining the real driver experience. So to start, we will have an overview of CATIA Creative Design Experience and how it was used to create the Formula One car body. So this application is dedicated to early stage concept design because it's combining subdivision surface technology with intuitive tools. So for designers and modelers, they can create high quality 3D shapes from scratch with freedom during creation. So we can start with a simple context like the wheel position, and from also a box primitive that you will be able to deform using manipulation command. Here you will be able to sculpt the base mesh interactively, and the subdivision will be detailed progressively. And the shape will evolve naturally while designers and modelers can keep full control over the proportion and the flow of their surfaces. So here for fast exploration and refinement, you can use the gesture-based robot that will accelerate your workflow because you can select the vertices and quickly sculpt the shape and do some adjustment really quickly. So you can see that the full body of the Formula One was created also with a visual modifier. So it allows you to create only one side of the product and to see the overall shape at the end. So here's the concept model is complete, and it will be the base and the reference for the next step of the design phase. We can start to imagine the cockpit inside, and I will let Edouard show us that.
Yeah. So now we will talk about the virtual mannequin. So in most of our CATIA roles, in fact, you have access to an application called CATIA Human Design, and it's on purpose. We are convinced that having the virtual mannequin available for all designers will be key for the future and in order to do the best design possible. Here, the idea is to propose some this easy to use and flexible mannequin available. Like here in the project, it will represent, of course, the driver, the pilot of the Formula One, and easily you can see we can drag in 3D some interesting key points like that in order to put in postures the mannequin. It will represent the use case we have to serve in order to design around this reference. Same also for the visibility line like that. In one button, we can have the first-person view access in order to visualize what the driver will see. And we can also capture the different postures like that in order to challenge our design all over the project with the different postures. And then the mannequin is ready, and Aude, I think you will continue
Yes, I want also to show you what the new web widget Creative Portfolio Board is meant to be used for designers. So to start the edition phase, once you have all the context created, you can use a Creative Portfolio Board and ask Aura, our conversational agent, available directly on the Tool Experience platform, to provide here the latest Formula One regulation rules related to steering wheel. So it gives us access to up-to-date information, and we will be able to create the full design brief based on key technical constraints, such as the size and the safety requirement of a steering wheel. So here, at the first step of the design, we will keep this real constraint in the process. You can copy-paste them inside the Creative Portfolio Board, but also add some images to create mood boards using templates to organize your image by theme or by color. Here it will help us to make sure our steering wheel will be very close to what we will see in the real what are the real needs. For example, the different functions and buttons that we will need. At one point, I can also insert the first sketches that are ready inside the board and use a compare command by placing the two concepts side by side. It will help us to evaluate options and make better decisions. Here with the icon, we can elect the concept that we want to continue, but this time in the 3D. It's a good tool to designers and modelers to understand and collaborate all along the project. So now that I have my 2D ideas, what I want to do, of course, is to validate them directly in 3D. So here I'm going back to CATIA Creative Design Experience, where I will be sketching the steering wheel in the real context of the Formula One car. So I want to position inside the Formula One to have the best visibility while I will sketch. So here I'm using the clipping tool to create a section in the Formula One body, and I'm taking kind of the pilot point of view to design my steering wheel. So here I can place a drawing plane in the 3D space and start 2D drawing directly in context. I can choose the colors and the thickness, for example, of my sketch, and quickly move these sketches in space and continue to change my point of view to create the full sketches in 3D. Once it's done, I can switch to a subdivision curve technology. It's real CATIA curves that I'm drawing here, and I can combine multiple curves to create a complex shape and refine, for example, some area of the handle with the manipulation command. You see, it's very fast, but also precise. I can change the point of view and sketch on different drawing plane to create a full 3D sketch network. So here I'm also using some primitive to define the buttons, but also designing the position of the screen of the steering wheel but also the connection that I will need to the rest of the cockpit at one point. So with the 3D sketch directly integrated inside the Formula One cockpit, I can have a clear and realistic view of my concept. This allows to quickly, in fact, assess the design quality and the first level of ergonomy, and also to check technical feasibility before to move to the surface modeling. So here to switch from the 3D sketch and to the concept model, I will use the same command than for the Formula One body design. Here I want to focus on some new nice what we call modifier that we propose in our application that allow designers and modelers to enter the refine step of their concept with more control and flexibility. So here I'm using a gap modeling modifier that will allow you to create automatically gaps on top of your surface using simply some input curves. So here I selected a bunch of curves that are close to my shape, and you can see it's automatically proposed to me some gap modeling, and I will only need to enter the parameter that I wish to have, like the thickness, the depth, but also the fillet radius that will follow the edge of the gap. So because it's a modifier, you can at any time edit it, for example, to add new cutting inputs. Here I'm adding 2 new surfaces to define the area where I want the steering wheel screen display. And of course, because everything stays associative all along the way, I can show back my input features and go into manipulation. Here I will select some key vertices on the shape and scale it down up a little. And you can see that it will automatically update the cutting and the gap will be regenerated automatically. So here it's saving a really big amount of time for designers, and they can focus really on exploring their ideas and explore design variation by simply adjusting these parameters. It's very fast and flexible for the need.
And then for this project, we also tried to prepare additional templates in order to add a lot of details in a short time frame. So for that, we used CATIA visual scripting. So here, for example, the idea was to prepare some primitives on the steering wheel. Sorry, Aude?
No problem. I can show it after. No
okay. So in the story, Aude, the creative modeler, has created some circles in order to represent the positions of the different buttons. And in CATIA visual scripting, we have prepared a template, a parametric model driven by a lot of parameters in order to capture the best practices and modeling techniques. So visual scripting, is a visual programming language offered to CAD and CATIA users and designers in order to prepare generative models, really robust with a lot of logic inside, in order to be used as a potential templates. And here you can see that Aude was able to simply reuse from catalogs and libraries the existing templates. And you have this kind of interface. This is similar to Power Copies and user feature in CATIA, in order to instantiate them with a direct access to input selection and parameters. And you can see we just have to select the different circles, and the template will automatically adapt to the different sizes. And we can enrich the model quite easily using this design sequence approach made with CATIA visual scripting. And what is also interesting, you still have access to the main parameters of the templates using this experiment view, tailored for designers with a simpler kind of interface, access of different parameters such as colors, the number of quadrants you want, or even the word you want to put on the button. And you can even capture design variants through this interface.
Thanks. Yes, I will just go back here just to show you how we use also all along the project, still a 3D portfolio board. So here we wanted to do a design review with Edouard. So we were able to integrate, for example, a first 3D sketch inside portfolio board, and you can visualize, in fact, your model and turn around, and also do some measure in it. It's also very nice to create the mood boards as we saw earlier, but also to start to propose and show the project to the other teams and explore ideas, for example, for the HMI that will be displayed on the steering wheel, and also start to show how the steering wheel will be used in context of our pilot inside the cockpit. So here the human serves as a communication tool to explain and put in situation our concept, even at this early stage. Okay. So now that we are happy with this first level of virtual steering wheel, we want to bring this virtual into the real world with a physical prototype. So here I will show you how to use CATIA 3D printing preparation app. It's an application to help you check the model and export it for different purposes like 3D printing. So you mesh the model, and after a mesh analysis, we went to the 3D experience lab where we prepared the model for a 3D printer, which is a filament 3D printer, because it's a first prototypes. So we don't need to be really precise, but just to have the overall proportion and position for different elements to be checked. So here we just parameters do the parametering of the print, like how much support and the density. So the prototype will be strong but fast also to produce for our test. So here, of course, this first prototype, it's a key validation step for us because we will be able to run a real user test to check the button positioning and accessibility, and also check how the steering wheel feels in hand, and here validate the screen placement, also the proportion, and move from ID to a real user feedback. So here Edouard tested the model with gloves, so it was a good way also to notice the realistic driving condition that will be when it will be inside the Formula One cockpit. So it's really fast to check the basic ergonomy and to be more confident to go to the next design phase. So once it's done, of course, we want to go back to the virtual model and do the modification. But we can't afford each time to go to physical prototype. So it's why the human was key all along the process, because we used the virtual mannequin to validate the modification on the fly. So here I'm back in CATIA Human Design application, and I can switch to first-person view to take the point of view inside the cockpit. With the automatic grab functionality, I can simulate the hand movement around the handle, and here I will activate the collision detection. So we will be able to spot any issues while interacting with the model. So here you can precisely move each finger to visualize which area of the hand will be touching the handle, the button. We can simulate the movement also of the pilot when he will be reaching to the steering wheel. Here we notice there is a very big collision with the cockpit. So we can capture this needed improvement and inside Creative Portfolio Board, paste the screenshot. It's a good way to track issues because you can also annotate to precisely say where you want a design change. For example, here I can highlight this part of the button and say, okay, I want to move them on the side to make them more accessible. So I continue the analysis. I can check each usage scenario, and from the library of posture, you can also define specific posture for hands to quickly switch between this posture and also take other decision. So now let's see how Human Animation Studio help us design the right user experience, but directly in the context of the animation. So here I've recorded an animation of my human, and while I'm launching the motion, it's still possible to go to Creative Design Experience application and adjust manually the subdivision to make sure that the mannequin motion will fit perfectly with no collision while doing the movement. So here I think this integrating workflow is a really very best example to show how it's very important to design the experience for the driver by combining the evaluation of the motion directly while manipulating the 3D shape and taking making design choices in real time. So now we want to jump into a collaborative review session in our VR room, because we will run a mixed reality user test by blending the physical prototype we just printed and the virtual prototype that we refined. So here we can mount the physical model on top of a car simulation cockpit. And with the Varjo XR3 headset, it's possible to see what is the virtual steering wheel on top of the physical one. I can, of course, interact with other team members in real time to make decisions in collaboration. So I let Edouard show you how to do this virtually as well.
Yes, so it's another possibility offered with our products. It's also possible to incarnate the mannequin in virtual reality. And for that, we were also able to use our latest feature regarding the hand tracking, the finger tracking support. So with a specific headset such as Varjo, in fact, it's possible to do not have to use anymore the physical controllers, and we will automatically track, in fact, the motion of your fingers. And this way, you can really experiment freely the product in virtual reality and record everything using the motion capture features offered in the application. And we used the same approach also for additional content here for the crew at the stop pit. Here you see we will use finger tracking in combination with additional trackers for a full body experience where you are trying to also walk and grab objects in the 3D scene, and everything can be also recorded in order to be analyzed afterwards in the 3D experience platform during the modeling phase or to reveal additional issues. No need to import or export or prepare the data anymore. The virtual reality is an additional tool offered directly to the designers during their workflow. And it was an additional part here, not really related to the cockpit, but in this project, we used also CATIA visual scripting for the tires, for example. And here we explored a parametric and generative model in order to have a lot of different design variants available through parameters and configurations. The idea was more to explore easily the impact, of the shape of the tires, and we can easily combine this approach, visual scripting models, with simulation on top of the 3D experience platform in order to reach, the optimal shapes to gain the best performances for the race, for example. Now we are back with the virtual mannequin. I think it's time to do a second loop of validation, virtual validation. So here again, we will use the same kind of features, automatic grab of geometries in order to put the hand on the steering wheel. The cockpit has reached an interesting level of refinement, and we are able to connect the virtual mannequin to an existing mechanism. So we will select, in fact, the steering wheel, and the mechanism associated to it will work connected to the virtual mannequin. And this way, we can, in fact, validate the full kinematic loop, including the driver, and it will help, again, to detect additional issues during the workflow. And here, for that, we are also using the CATIA motion design application to prepare the mechanisms and to simulate the kinematic behaviors in order to, for example, get some analysis plots or to generate an animation to be replayed in the product structure. And the last step was about the visibility offered in the cockpit. So one button to switch between a first or third person view. And here we are exploring now the positioning of the rear mirrors. So here you can see we are trying to move the head on the right and to see if the positioning of the rear mirror and the geometry is well placed or not in order to get the best view. We will not go into the details of this part, but we can, for example, imagine using CATIA live rendering and ray tracing technologies directly in this interactive session in order to validate if we are really seeing what the drivers expect during the race. And if not, go back and do the modification of the design and the positioning of the elements. So I think now, Aude, you will talk about 3D printing again.
Yes, it's really, I think, impressive to see all these steps again. And of course, after all these validation steps, we want to go back to physical. So we want to print again a new steering wheel, but this time with another technology. So we chose a powder-based 3D printing technology because it's allowed to produce a prototype made of different parts and to create the assembly afterward. So here the buttons, the wheels will be printed separately and with another level of surface quality. That will be better to check the small detail and the interaction with the end. So let me show you the final result of this prototype at scale 1. So here you can see we printed both parts of it. So for example, for the engineering team, it will be possible to check that all the elements that go inside will fit our design. But also you see I have the buttons that are not attached here, but you see the little button here. You can turn them. So we have another level, I think, of interaction and check of the design. So next step, Edouard, is to reveal the final project.
So it was for fun, but in visual scripting, we also have soft body behaviors embedded in the application, and we wanted to do a kind of a virtual reveal using a closed simulation on top of the Formula One. So this is the result we get with the full team and the full project of last year, including design and also engineering departments. And we were quite proud, in fact, of being capable of creating such geometry all together on the same platform. And we are not Formula One designers and experts at all. And also to be able to reach such kind of project with our current solutions and tools. And it was quite intense and really interesting. And I think it was also kind of a proof of this new approach we wanted to showcase, including the virtual human really at the heart of the virtual and the design process. And you can see such images were also produced using CATIA live rendering. So even the images, we were able to create them from the CATIA tools and CATIA applications directly in 3D Experience platform.
Yes, in the situation of the racing itself, finally. So now to create this demonstration, we can have, another overview of the application we use and also the roles. So first, you discovered the CATIA Creative Portfolio Board, which were the application to create and enrich your 3D whiteboard all along your design process. Then you saw CATIA Creative Design Experience, the application for designers and modelers for 3D sketching and concept modeling. You have to know that it's available on desktop, but we have also a virtual reality add-on to make immersive design possible inside the application.
And then we also used CATIA visual scripting regarding all generative models, parametric models, and the template approach. CATIA Human Design and Animation Studio in order to access and position the virtual mannequin in the scene and to be able to manipulate it. And CATIA Live Rendering for image production. What was interesting is, in fact, CATIA Live Rendering is included in designer's roles and package. So for designer, it's quite easy, in fact, to immediately have a ray tracing image of what you are designing without any data preparation. And same for CATIA Human Design. This application is directly embedded in industrial designer role, for example, so made to be accessed directly for the designers. On the right side of the slide, you have an overview of all the package or roles you need in order to be able to redo, in fact, this kind of workflow as of today. We have a role on top of that is called Virtual Reality Reviewer in order to access the virtual reality capabilities.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So here to conclude our presentation, so we wanted to say that this example of the steering wheel concept is a good example to show how the experience design thinking will be transforming the way we create objects, because we can now place the human virtual twin at the heart of the creative process. So some key takeaway of our demonstration. So first, that the design start not only with the geometry, but with the human at the center, because you can add the human from the earliest ideation phase to guide you to have the good proportion and usability of your product along the process. So that experience validation can happen really early and all along also the process, because with the virtual human, you can check collision, you can do motion capture, and identify issue while the design is not freeze and is still flexible. So you gain finally a lot of time. Sketching and concept modeling allow to be designers and modelers to be creative in the right context, because you can explore your ideas also at the right proportion and at the real scale from the first shape. The immersive technologies, they can, of course, reduce the uncertainty, because with the mixed reality, the hand tracking, it's making design review more collaborative, and you can really feel the product even before having a physical prototype in hand. But of course, we have to keep in mind that the virtual and the physical prototype still work together, because we discovered that the physical prototype is still really useful for real user testing, but you can still stay really connected to the digital model during this validation. And of course, we are really sure that it's really important to have a single platform with a continuous workflow all along with all the teams. So with the 3D Experience platform, everything stays connected, and it's enabling a better collaboration, to take also better decision, and to reach higher design quality.
And it was really nice also because with this approach, so one single platform, in fact, we were working in parallel of the CATIA engineering team, and over the time, every refresh of the session, we were discovering new mechanical parts. So it triggered new discussions and new questions, and we are in fact convinced of this approach. The platform could be the right solution, to better work between departments such as design and engineering, for example.
Yes. So thanks a lot again for joining us on this episode. So we look forward to see how you put your human virtual twin at the center of your next own creative process.
Thank you very much, Aude and Edouard, for this very complete and insightful presentation. I think now we'll dive into our Q&A session. So once again, we really encourage you to take advantage of our expert presence. So please don't hesitate to ask your question in the chat, and we'll answer them. I can already see that we have positive reaction applauses. We have positive feedbacks, enjoying the presentation, I'm impressed, nice, great, and very unique topic to work upon, interesting topic. So thank you for this. Do not hesitate to ask your question. Perhaps we can first start with one question. Is it possible to activate clash detection during human hand tracking motion capture replay?
So the answer is yes. Once you capture your motion with Human Animation Studio, then you can go back to the desktop application and replay it. And then you can activate again the clash detection and see the mannequin hand and object around him and how they clash together.
Thank you, Aude. We have another feedback. Thank you for presentation. A second question I'll ask. In creative design experience, is it possible to insert pictures or mood boards to start the 3D sketching with a reference?
Yes, of course, we provide this capability. So it's possible to import an image or mood board inside your 3D view and position them in space. So it will be a good reference to start your sketching or modeling process.
We have a question. Can you talk about the technology used for motion capture and how you align virtual and physical?
Yes, so I can answer for the motion capture. In fact, for virtual reality capabilities with the human mannequin, we refer to some partners such as HTC for the headset, so the HTC Vive Pro 2, and we directly take benefit of their capabilities. So I mean, by default, we can use their additional trackers. If you put, for example, up to 8 additional trackers on your body, we will get the skeleton and we will be able to do a motion capture and to map it directly to our mannequin virtually and to store the different positions of the skeleton over the time in the 3D Experience platform. How
Also,
to
we have
align
a
virtual and
feedback.
physical? Yes. So
Go
Aude, if you want to answer regarding feedback
no
technology.
problem.
No,
Just saying
but
that we
so
also have the feedback alignment tool that is working also with the HTC trackers. So you can combine the human tracking with the control with the trackers and the feedback alignment of the virtual cockpit on top of the physical cockpit. And we can also remind that with new generation of headset, it's also possible to have on trackings, like with the Varjo XR3, Varjo XR4. You can get rid of some trackers and benefits from the real tracking of your hand gesture.
yeah, it's based on little cameras they have put in the headset, in fact. So we do not reinvent the things, and we are just using the technologies of our partners, and we map them directly to our mannequin in the 3D Experience platform.
Thank you for answering this question. I have another positive feedback. Nice presentation, great job. Again, do not hesitate to ask your question. Perhaps a last question, is it possible to change the pilot size or weight to check accessibility for different pilot morphologies?
Yeah, so in fact, we have a first level of possibilities in CATIA Human Design. You have access, in fact, to the customization of specific bones of the skeletons. You also have a wheel representing the morphology you want. In other, if you want someone thin or tall or fat. In fact, we have this new capability offered in what we call the generative mannequins, generative humans. It's really new in order to address all kind of users and population over the globe. But you have to know that it's just a first level. It's not specialized for experts. It's more for all modelers, designers, in order to have something simple. And you also have to know that we also work closely with Humanetics and the Ramses mannequin. This one is an ergonomic mannequin, and their module works directly in 3D Experience platform too. It's more for the experts, it's more for the ergonomic department, but you have to know that we have this second level of possibilities offered through this partnership between our two companies.
Thank you, Edouard. I think for today we'll close today's Q&A session. Thank you again, both of you, for your time and participation. Thank you once again, our viewers who watch our CATIA Design User Talk and join us today. We hope that you appreciated our talk and that you found it informative and engaging. To access everything you need about design thinking, visit our CATIA Creative Design and Styling community with this second link. It will include the replay of this talk on a dedicated post, but also some tutorials, best practices, and above all, the possibility to exchange with our experts if you have any questions. If you haven't joined the community, please simply create an account with an email and a password. We also greatly appreciate your feedback, which will help us, as always, to improve our talk for the next CATIA talk we'll have. And until then, have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
great day.